Why did that happen? Who made that happen? Who did what wrong? Are those the kind of questions that you quite regularly hear amongst your team, or even coming from you yourself? My name is Nell. I'm an action coach, business coach, and I would call that the blame game. And is that a culture that you have in your business? Because let's be honest, it is a cultural behavior. It's definitely something that we do without realizing that we are doing. And it's something that I hear a lot when I go and see my clients in their offices or their premises. Now, what do I mean with the blame game? Let's start really simple. The blame game is all about whose fault is it? Who's not done what, or who has done what? And then who are we blaming this on? And in the last couple of years, we've had it pretty easy, blaming the economy, blaming the pandemic, blaming all sorts of stuff that was going on. In your office, then you might even blame it on the boogie. But let's not go there. Even blaming yourself is blaming. It still means you are pointing the finger. And I do this a lot when I run workshops with my clients and their teams. And I say, right, point your fingers at me as if I'm to blame. And they point their fingers at me and I go, fabulous. How many fingers are pointing back at you? It's 3. So for every time you are blaming someone else or something else, there are 3 fingers pointing back at you. 3 fingers that are not saying you are to blame, but that are saying, what could we have learned here? What could we do differently? What are some of the things that we may need to adjust going forward? Because that's what these 3 fingers are. To eliminate this, and to start with, I'd love for you to just walk around your team, your office, your premises, and really listen to these kind of conversations. How often are people turning around to each other and saying, oh, this hasn't happened because X, Y, and Z hasn't done or hasn't happened? Because that's the blaming culture. Now, when they do, first of all, we need to make people aware of it. The second thing I'd love for you to really listen into is how often are you using that kind of language? Because our team is a reflection of us. So are they also picking it up from us? So who are you blaming? Are you blaming suppliers, the other team, the accountant, the mother-in-law? There's always someone to blame. And I go back to you blaming yourself as the business owner is still blaming. So instead of taking that blame, let's look at the responsibility that we need to take here. What are some of the changes that you need to make? And a couple of really great questions to help you with that instead of saying, why has X, Y, and Z happened? Because let's be honest, a why question automatically leads you to justify yourself, to find an excuse. And an excuse instantly links into finding someone else to blame. So instead of blaming the suppliers for being late for the 4th month in a row, maybe we can go, look, their delivery times are not what they used to be. Do we need to start ordering earlier? Do we need to make some changes in how we're operating because we know that this is happening? And nobody on the other end, your clients, your team, nobody loves hearing an excuse as to why stuff hasn't happened because it instantly puts you on the back foot. So where can you be proactive? Where do you need to make some changes? Good questions to ask. What could we do differently? What have we learned from this? What are some of the changes that we could make? In hindsight, what is this telling us? So instead of just pointing the finger and blaming, let's have a look at what could you do differently.